Did you know European banks are safer today because they have to follow a single rulebook?
The next step, a safety net, so that when there is big trouble, you and I, the taxpayer, are not the first on the hook to bail out the banks. I'm Maitreyi Sitharaman, and this week we're exploring what a European backstop could mean for us. You buy a coffee, you've got money in the bank to pay for it, so the last thing you're thinking about is my money safe? Or the taxes you pay on your bill you expect toward going to running the country, not bailing out badly behaved banks. But we've been down this road before. So Gianni Maggi decided to find out what's changed under the banking union rules.
Real Economy is back in Italy to see what's changed here under the banking union. It was put in place after one of the worst financial crises in Europe. Deep wounds remain, and judicial inquiries and trials are still ongoing. Between 2013 and 17, 7 banks had to be saved, 3 recapitalized and bailed out, and 4 bailed in. Hundreds of depositors lost their money, unaware that, on their banker's advice, they'd invested cash savings in risky bonds. As well as the money lost by investors, public funds used for the bailouts have been recorded as public debt for a total of around 1 to 2% of Italy's gross domestic product. So even if savers didn't lose money, taxpayers did. So are savers now more savvy? And have attitudes towards investments and savings changed? I went to talk to Italy's professional financial advisors.
Italian savers are not well informed. They struggle to take a meaningful role in the request for information. Therefore, fundamentally, their fear is increased, but they haven't changed their behavior in a way that could help eliminate or reduce the problems.
The fact is, everyday savers still need to rely on their bank or financial advisor, because in most cases, they don't have the knowledge to invest themselves. This means it's critical to have a regulatory framework, one that clarifies who intervenes when there's a problem.
Certainly, from the point of view of general investors, it would be desirable to know at least ex ante who is going to take care in case of a similar problem in the future and under what conditions. So it is important in the future, I think, to be able to distinguish between bank liquidation done by national authorities and bank resolution done by European authorities.
So, does this single rule book of clear and common principles give grounds for optimism if we're faced with another financial crisis?
I am extremely optimistic. I think the works of the European Banking Authority, of all the bodies in charge, are moving forward with great efficiency. They will accompany digitization, innovation, in European terms, in an absolutely positive way.
In termini europei, secondo me, in maniera assolutamente positiva.
As Gianni points out, the system is a lot safer than it used to be. European banks have a lot more capital for the bad times now, and they're healthier as well, with fewer bad loans on the books. But what happens when the current rules are not enough to stop a bank from failing? Here's a crash course on the concept of a common backstop.
Since the financial crisis, Europe has started to build a banking union for its citizens to make banks more stable. The first 2 pillars, single supervision and single resolution, are already in place, but the third isn't ready. Today, if bad weather strikes, a single resolution fund made up of contributions from banks can stabilize the situation to an extent. But in really bad weather, that fund may not be enough and would need a last resort support. This would come as credit from the EU via the resolution fund to the country most in danger, and would be funded by both Euro and non-Eurozone countries participating in the banking union. But the people who really own the house, the taxpayer, could be protected, since if any backstop money is used, the plan is to get it back from the banks. Ideally, a backstop should be made when conditions are sunny and bright.
The European Central Bank, the single supervisor of our banks, says that the risk reductions done till now are essential to protect the taxpayer, but that the consequences of any potential bank failures are still national. That means on us, the taxpayer.
So I'm going to find out what's it going to take to complete this backstop puzzle from the European Commissioner of Economic and Monetary Affairs, Pierre Moscovici. Commissioner, we asked you to bring us an object that defines what a deeper economic and monetary union means for you. What is it?
It's a bear. A bear because the Eurozone and the EMU is solid, robust, and also, as you see, it's a white bear, so it's shining, bright, and it also can bite. We have already all the security tools, almost all of them, but we don't have yet the capacity to dynamize our economy. If there is a backstop, that means that if the immediate solutions don't work, in the end, you've got a financial, budgetary support that avoids that the risk of banking failure is too high.
So if you're a taxpayer, are you still on the hook for a bailout?
The backstop is budgetary, and it's based on the ESM. Since we have a banking union, then there needs to be a European solution.
Till now, how has, in your opinion, in the solutions we've found for the bear from the banking union, helped a normal citizen at home?
First, the bank balance sheets are much better than they used to be. And when there is a difficulty, then there is a discussion between the Commission and this or that bank. It happened for Italian banks, for example. And so we could have, or Spanish banks, we could avoid that there is a systemic risk. And we were capable to anticipate and find solutions. And so there has not been bank failure.
Would this backstop work even when it is decided that a certain bank doesn't have an impact on the Eurozone economy or other Eurozone banks? What happens at that point? Would it then go back to national authorities?
First, let's establish the backstop. It's not yet there.
Tell me what you think could work.
First things first. You know, my experience is that we need to move step by step. I don't want to elaborate. I think it's up to the ministers now to take their decisions, and there is a proposal by the Commission on the table. The European Stability Mechanism would be transformed into a European Monetary Fund. This European Monetary Fund would be an institution of the EU, so it can be democratically controlled. I think we could have a decision, a political decision, this summer, and so we could have something much simpler and much faster.
What's convinced people to start moving towards that?
I think the ministers are, well, still divided, of course, but well aware. And then when Paris, Brussels, Berlin are, I wouldn't say aligned, but moving the same direction, then things become possible.
Commissioner, thank you very much for those insights, and thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. Until then, keep your money safe.